What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is Preview Picks, the weekly show where I go over the comic books I'm picking up this week, let you know what they're about, and whether there's something you should talk to your comic book shop about. What we're going to do is start off with independent titles, and the first one is from Image, and that's Black Science number 26. So this is by Rick Remender, and it's going to be a continuing story, but this is the beginning of a brand new arc, and that's a pretty rare thing inside independent comic books, which usually tell longer, more drawn-out stories. Definitely something that he's been doing a really good job on, and ultimately the art is out of this world. So I'd highly recommend go grabbing this if you have any kind of inclination to hop onto this new book. We also have Motor Crush number 1, which is a brand new title from Image as well, and this brings the creative team that kind of brought the resurgence of Batgirl back to DC. So I can't wait to see what they do with this global motorcycle racing league and this girl that's at the center of it. So I can't wait to see what that's all about. When we drop in on DC, we see Aquaman number 12, which is the beginning of the Deluge story arc. So if you read the Marrow one-shot that happened, this is really kind of the premonition that happened in there is going to be coming to fruition. So this is all about the destruction that's going to wipe the world clean, and it's going to be ridiculous. So if you're in any kind of inclination to go pick up Aquaman, this is a great part to jump on, at least for the time being. We also have Green Arrow number 12, which shows the Emerald Outlaw story arc starting up, where Oliver Queen and Dinah Lance are back in Seattle, and they're doing business as usual, except Ollie's broke, and he's wanted by the law, and there's a lot of things that are really going against him. So Ben Percy's had a great take on how Oliver Queen operates, so I'd really recommend anybody kind of hop in on this one. And since they're finally off the train, I'm really excited for where this one goes. Another one I'm really excited about where it goes is Nightwing number 10, because it's going back to Bloodhaven. So this is a brand new arc in Nightwing. So this is going to be him returning to what was his own city, like his own version of Gotham, but that was a while ago, and he might not have ever been there right now, so this is going to be pretty interesting to see. We also have Superman number 12 starting up a brand new arc, and it's going to be starring Frankenstein. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about too, but man, he's got that stitched on S and stuff, and it just looks like it's going to be super fun because Superman has been a super book. So much super. Green Lanterns number 12 is also coming out, so you've got the Phantom Ring, which is continuing on in part 4. So this is a really good story. It made me hop back onto Green Lantern, so I recommend that to everybody. Go back and get the previous issues so you know what's going on. Another one to go back and grab the previous issues for 9, 10, 11, and now 12 is Batman number 12. So, I Am Suicide is continuing on, and if you read the last issue, you know that stuff is about to hit the fan. And this is where everything either comes together or falls apart, and this is what, you can't really miss this, because this is setting up a lot of forward story. This is laying some serious groundwork for where this story can go in the future, and I'm really excited about that. When we make our way over to Marvel, we have All New Wolverine number 15, so this is where Tom Taylor is continuing the Enemy of the State 2 storyline, and Laura Kinney's X-23 is headed to Madripoor. So Wolverine is going to be in this city of riches and crime, and I can't wait to see how her character really handles this situation. Should be really entertaining, and overall, Tom Taylor's been doing a great job in the new Wolverine book. Another book that has been really great is Jeff Lemire's Moon Knight, so issue number 10 is The Meeting of the Marks. So if you read the previous issue, you have a better understanding as to what that's all about, but it looks like he's getting the gang back together so that way they can take on their final enemy, make preparations for the final confrontation, get the party together, A book that's going to be continuing on, though, is Avengers No. 2, so this is another part of the Kang War, and to be honest with you, Mark Waid's writing and Mike Del Mundo's art were good, but I was kind of hesitant on his portrayal of some characters, so I'm going to have to read this one to see where it's going in the future. However, a book I can't recommend enough is Champions No. 3 by Mark Waid with art by Humberto Ramos. So if you read issue number 1, it was good. If you read issue number 2, it was even better, and now issue number 3 is going to hopefully carry on that baton. They all can't be home runs, but I'm really excited about where this is going because the entire team dynamic is very organic, it still feels very fresh, and the way that these characters are being written is just miles ahead of where they're writing the Avengers. This feels so new and it feels so different that I can't help but really be enamored by the kind of storytelling that's going on here. It doesn't really revolve around superheroing, it revolves around people becoming superheroes. The evolution of a younger character into an older character, a more experienced character taking on those responsibilities, and that's something that you don't ever really see in comic books. It's been a while since Batman has been, unestablished. I mean, you've got year one storylines and things like that, but this is really the tale of how Miss Marvel, Sam Alexander's Nova, Amadeus Cho's Hulk, Viv from the Vision, Cyclops, Miles Morales' Spider-Man, how they're going to become a team that goes beyond and carries on the mantle of the next generation. It's really exciting, and you definitely should be reading it. A book that I'm a little bit less excited for, though, is Clone Conspiracy number 3, and it's the main book, so it should have everything. And so we see Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen on the run from a resurrected villain from Jackal's collection. And what is Kaine going to do? Because the introduction of the Scarlett Spider was very interesting, especially when you take into account the tie-in that was in Amazing Spider-Man. This is really a book that you have to kind of be reading if you want to know where the Spider-Verse is going, and I use the term Spider-Verse specifically because there's a whole hell of a lot of stuff that's tying into the previous events that Dan Slott has written. It feels like this is kind of a culmination, and this is where things are going to start kind of clicking. They're going to start moving. Hopefully we get some plot I hope we get some plot progression. I really can't wait for that. Another book I really can't wait for is Unworthy Thor number 2. So if you've watched my video on Unworthy Thor number 1, as well as the one on Ultimate Mjolnir and how that kind of came about, you understand that Unworthy Thor is the connective tissue that's going to bring about where Secret Wars happened, where Mighty Thor has been going on, and where Unworthy Thor, Odinson has been the entire time. So this is a book that I feel is leading us to the ultimate final confrontation, the culmination of all of these events that Jason Aaron's been writing since 2014, or at least bringing everybody together for these things, because what we're going to see in Mighty Thor is the Asgard-Shi'ar War. What we're going to see when Unworthy Thor concludes is hopefully the War of the Realms. He's going to have a brand new, hammer, and then there's going to be another hammer. It's going to be craziness in the Thorverse, and I can't wait to see where that's going to go. Highly recommend you pick up number 1, which is in a second printing, as well as number 2, which is coming out this week. Then when we talk about new number 1s, we're going to go to Doctor Aphra, which is a character that was created inside the Star Wars comic book. So it's the first time a Star Wars comic book character has their own comic book. Super confusing, I know. But what they've got is they've got Karen Gillan, who's coming on to write this book, and ultimately her popularity from the Star Wars comic book was so great that they had to give her her own. It's not necessarily something that I was really following along with, but it's definitely something I'm going to take a look at, because if there's somebody that prominent and promising, I have to kind of give it a chance. It's the same situation with Nova number 1, which is coming out. And this is probably one of the worst telegraphed secrets that they've ever had, which is the resurrection and the return of Richard Rider. So the big thing is going to be, how did that happen? Because if you read Annihilation and all those kind of things that went on, Richard Rider is just, he's gonzo, man. So the question is, how did he make it back? And ultimately, what kind of role is he going to play in the development of Sam Alexander? Because Sam Alexander has been looking for his father, and he really needs some sort of mentorship in his life as this Nova character. So I can't wait to see how this dynamic gets played out, because those two Nova characters are definitely going to be interacting on some level. Highly recommend that you check it out and see where it's going to go. So those are all the books that I'm planning on picking up on Wednesday, so I want to know what you guys think. Hit me up in the comments down below so we can talk about that. And if you're going to be picking up something different, hit me up down there too. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe right there to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.